B-I-T. Wait, let's go. What's your name, baby? What's your sign? Well, I just seen her from afar. I'm like, what's your name? Baby, what's your sign? What's on your mind?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Mike Ramirez. Y'all already know. That's my brother and co-host, Big Nando, and we're the MMA Bros. Yes, episode 8. You guys already know. We're going to jump right into UFC San Antonio. Corey Sandhagen took on Marlon Chito Vera. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, what an impressive performance by Corey Sandhagen. You know, I was going for Chito Vera. I was a little bit biased. I love Chito Vera, but I also love Corey Sandhagen. He's very, very technical. He's probably, on the stand-up game, probably the most technical in that division. So I really didn't know what to expect from this fight. I mean, if we're just going off of what they usually do, Chito with the slow start and looking for the knockout, you know. And then Corey, you know, very movie, going to be back and forth, switching stances and playing the point game with you, you know. So we kind of got that from Corey. He did try to go for the takedown over and over again. And then Chito, we did not see those, you know, I maybe seen like one or two, like, tries for a knockout. You know, I seen a spinning fist that didn't land, and then head kick that got blocked, but he really never got it going. And Corey Sandhagen just really shut him down this fight. Great job by him.
Yeah, you know, I knew he was going to start off slow, you know, obviously like he always does. But Chito, man, just like you said, he couldn't get it going whatsoever. He was stuck in the mud. So I mean, it was just it's hard to, you know, do anything when you're fighting elite strikers and you're basically having an off day, you know, and while the other guys having, you know, basically the fight of his life. So he outstruck him 146-33 just in the first 3 rounds. I had him winning 49-46. A lot of people said, you know, Corey won 5 out of, you know, 5 rounds, all 5 rounds. So that's a, you know, tough one in that regard.
See it, yeah.
It's tough, man. Overall, once again, we have one of these. You can't leave it up to the judges because, once again, a split decision and the judge just blows this, you know, just judging once again, man. What can you say about the judging that's been happening every week? It seems like, you know.
I mean, it's very funny that you brought that up. You know, and some of the viewers at home might have been wondering, why did I have this Pooh Ice Tea mask on? Because, you know, there's been a lot of robberies going on. There's been a lot of bad calls going on, a lot of bad judging going on. We're seeing robberies going on. We had one last night, I think. So we'll get to that in a little bit later. But the judging, I mean, it needs to step up. I really don't know what criteria they're basing things off of now. It seems like you're switching almost every week. Are they going for damage? Are they going for control time? Are they going off of favoritism? Are they going off of favoritism? I really don't know. So it's getting to the boxing thing, where the boxing was always having the bad judging and stuff like that. So it's you know, and that's why Dana White always says, don't leave it up to the hands of the judges. Go for those knockouts, you know, because you're gonna have things like that. I mean, yeah, we had one of the judges vote for Chito Vera winning that fight, right?
Yeah, so this is tough. I don't know what he was watching there, you know, but yeah, you can't leave it in the judges' hands, you know, as they say. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our 8th episode. We thank you guys for, you know, being along this journey with us and continuing with us, because we're still here. You know, only a month and a half going on to 2 months now since we're on episode 8. And, you know, we're some humble, you know, YouTube guys and podcasters. But, hey, it's time to be braggadocious. 8 main events in a row, you know, since we're on episode 8 that I've gotten right. You know, check the tape there. Since we started, you know, since, you know, January, I've been getting all these picks right, guys. So you guys definitely got to follow MMA Bros podcast. We're definitely going to tell you guys and lead you guys the right direction. But going on to the co-main event, which is another legend. She's still continuously fighting, got another 6-fight contract. Holly Holm took on Yana Santos, who's married to Thiago Santos. Holly Holm takes the win. She's now 15-6 over Santos. What do you think of that fight?
That was I mean, I seen a 10-8 round in that fight. I think the second round. I mean, she was just super aggressive. This is the
Yeah,
Holly Holm that everybody knows is there, and she's really controlling them with the grappling now, up in the
yeah,
clinches, down on the ground and pound. I mean,
that's
she
the key
almost
part.
ended Yana Santos a few times.
Right.
So Holly Holm did an amazing job. She really she really put it down on Yana Santos. What a great job. That was very, very great performance by Holly Holmes.
Yeah, Holly Holm, 32 out of 63 significant strikes, 4 out of 6 takedowns. So congrats
Nice.
to Holly Holm. She has
Yeah.
5 fights left on her contract. It looks like she's going to be fighting a lot of it out because, or maybe mostly all of it out because it looks like she's going to go on another title run. So good luck to her. What an exciting next fight. Nate the Train Landwehr submits Austin Lingo. Man, this
No,
guy
yeah.
just has a gas tank out of this world. But he just, even if he's tired, he just keeps going forward. Man, this guy, what a fight of the night contention it could have been. But man, it was just an amazing fight, back and forth.
For sure.
What you think about that?
Oh man, he did a great job. He did a great job. Nate the Train. That hype trains keep on going right now. That was a great
Yeah,
performance by him, and I think he still did get a performance of the night last night. Great job by him. I can't wait to see what he does in the
yeah,
future. Hey, and his post fight, what he's saying in the ring and all that. That dude's hilarious, man.
yeah. Definitely, he's a wild man. And moving on
Yeah,
to Macy Barber versus Andrea Lee. Macy Barber wins a split decision.
yeah.
She was working a lot in the fight. She was working a ton. It was a lot of back and forth on the ground, as well. A lot of people saying Andrea Lee, with a lot of ground time, control time, and takedowns, possibly won the fight. What did you think about it?
Um, that's why I got the Pusaisty on right now. That was a robbery. That was a robbery. I mean, Macy Barber, it was not like she got dominated or anything like that, but it was a robbery. I mean, that's when we're talking about the bad judging like that. We could sit here and say that and sit here and say this, but yeah, Andrea Lee didn't have so many significant strikes, but she literally dominated her for most of the fight. I could give Macy Barber the first fight, the first round. But that's about it. It gets on one of those, just kind of like a hype train, one of those faces coming up in the UFC, and like a Patty Pimblett or like and they just etch them out and give them the win. But everybody's seen it. The whole crowd was booing, even though they like Macy Barber. But yeah, that definitely, that's all I gotta say about that. It's definitely a
Yeah,
robbery.
a lot of people were saying the same thing, robbery. But next fight, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Joe Kuwani versus Albert Duraev. Yeah, I mean Duraev, took him down a couple times with ease, controlled him all the first round, a little bit second. I thought he won the fight. Once again, another split decision is kind of hard to see how, and Joe Kuwani, won on the judges card, but once again, don't leave it in the
Yeah.
judges' hands there. That was
Mhm.
it was a solid fight back and forth. And then what opened the card was Tucker Lutz versus Daniel Pineda. Featherweight bout. Pineda submits Lutz in the second round. That was a pretty good fight. Didn't know what was gonna go on at that one, because if it went all 3 rounds, I was like, because really one was winning one round, the one was winning the second round. So really, is when somebody gets a finish, it's just that's what's so different from MMA from every other sport. It's so final. It's over if you finish somebody. So you don't need the judges to tell you.
Yeah, when it's over, it's over.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of fight promotions, a lot of fights happening. Of course, UFC is almost every single Saturday, so they take up the mecca of that. But we're gonna move right into our next segment, which is we're really excited about in Miami. UFC 287 segment is called "What's at Stake," and we're gonna start right at the top at the main event. Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. It's basically their 4th time fighting. They fought twice in kickboxing. Now it's going to be their 2nd time in the UFC. Of
Hmm.
course, Alex Pereira is 3-0 against him. So, I
Yeah.
mean, what's at stake here is more than just the title. It's sometimes it's seeming like somebody has your number, right? It's seeming like somebody just knows what to do to stop you, or just, basically just overall just get the win in the octagon or in the ring. So what do you think about that matchup? And yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's at stake here for sure for Israel Adesanya is almost his whole career, because
Mhm.
if he does lose again, I mean, who really? How hard would it be to get back and to fight him again? It's almost like that's almost impossible to get back to be a champion. And they're gonna make you go through everybody, and they're gonna make you fight the who's now because I mean. When it's two dominant performances, I'm not saying it is going to be a performance, or I'm not even saying Alex Pineda wins. But if he does, you know, we don't know what's gonna happen with Izzy. Is he gonna try to go up, try to go down? Is he gonna stay there and fight a few people and then try to fight the champ and see if hopefully if Alex Pineda loses, who knows? What's at stake for Alex Pineda? Um, Really not too much. I mean, he already is the champion. If he were to lose, I mean, I think they would almost do an immediate rematch. So he doesn't really have too much to lose right now. He's in a good position. But if he does win, I mean, he's going down, and he's going down as
That's it.
one of the guys up there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that's
it should be
interesting.
great.
That's interesting that you say that, because I think the opposite. I think if Alex Pereira loses, that they move on, and I
Oh
think
wow.
Israel Adesanya, it just continues fighting other people, and it continues his reign, just because you got to remember Pereira is older. Pereira is what, 4-0 or whatever, or 4-1. But he's what, I think 35, 36. But even besides the age, I mean, look at how hard it is for him to cut all that weight. He's talking about moving up to 205 every single day on Twitter, it seems like, or Instagram. So
That'd be good, though.
it seems inevitable for him to move up, almost win or lose.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Obviously he was calling out Chimaev at 205, which is not even up there. He's calling out Jamal Hill. So we'll see what's going on
I want
with Alex.
I want to see it though.
Yeah. So regardless, win or lose, what's at stake? It's just what's at stake. It's less at stake for Alex Pereira, because he, win or lose, he's probably going to move up. With Izzy, we
Oh,
already seen
okay.
when he moved up. It's kind of
That'd
tough.
be a nice move.
Izzy kind of got dominated on the ground by Jan, which is not even a wrestler. So Jan Blachowicz. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to see. For me, what's at stake for Israel Adesanya, like you said, it might be everything. So he can't take this loss, because then he'd just be hoping on Alex Pereira moving on to another division, or somebody else beating him, and then him trying to get a rematch there. But what a great fight. Firecrackers
Oh
starting
yeah,
for the main events at UFC 287.
for
At the
sure.
co-main event, Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal's on a 3-fight losing streak, but at the same time, he's only lost to Usman and Covington. You know what I'm saying? And Burns lost to Usman and Chimaev his last couple fights. Of course, you got the win versus Neil Magny in there, and Wonderboy Thompson, but it's tough here, because for Gilbert Burns, he's always been a mainstay. Win or lose, he can stay at the top, and so can Masvidal. But the thing about Masvidal is just with the fourth loss in a row, it's just seeming so tough for him to ever get a title shot again if he takes another loss. You know what I'm saying? So that's where he's at. They're kind of both in the crossroads, in a sense that even if Gilbert Burns takes a loss, sets him back so much too. They're both getting up there in age. I think one's 36, one's 38.
For
And
sure.
there's so much happening in that division, from Shavkat, Rakhmonov. There's just so many killers coming up as well, that it's just tough
Yeah.
in that division. What do you got going on for that matchup?
Yeah, we got Masvidal. He's at one of those either you're gonna it's a make or break right now for him. I mean, he's obviously gonna keep fighting. He's a big draw. He's a big name for the UFC. But no, he's got other things going on too. What is he, 38 years old? Gilbert Burns. This is a make or break for him too. Is it? Are you gonna if you win this fight? You're going forward, and you're probably gonna be close to that title shot, or you're gonna do some type of title eliminator, maybe with Usman. You know what I'm saying? Who knows?
Yeah.
But whoever wins that fight is going to be one of those next guys in line. Maybe fighting Usman. I don't know. Maybe fighting the winner of Bilal and Shavkat if they fight. But yeah, we got a lot of hitters over there. Kobe Covington's
Yeah.
going up to fight Leon. So we got to see who wins that. They're already booked away.
Allegedly.
Kamaru doesn't have nothing. So we got to see. There's a lot of hitters, and both of these guys need to win real bad on that one.
Yeah, so Kobe is gonna fight Leon allegedly. But moving on to the next one is Rob Font.
Allegedly.
Rob Font is taking on the Adrian Yanez, so that's gonna be fireworks there. Rob Font, man, he was on such a great win streak prior to a couple of his losses to Marlon Vera, Chito Vera, who just fought in the main event, of course, and then Jose Aldo. So for him, you know, Rob Font obviously is up there in age. I think he's like 38. So you know, if he loses this one and he goes on a 3-fight losing streak, it's gonna be tough for him once again in division full of killers. He's gonna be, you know, really tough for him to get to the top and fight for titles. So he really needs this win versus a young 29-year-old Adrian Yanez, who, you know, he's looking like a stud, man. He's looking really, really good.
Yeah, what's that? That's a big age gap difference right there. Diego, I don't know if you're listening. If you could check that up, we can see what the age difference gap on that is with Font and Yanez. I don't know if we ever see at least how old Rob Font is. He has to be 36 to 38. Yeah, he's getting up there. So they both need This is see what the UFC does make great matchups though. They make these matchups that, you know, it's very intriguing to see who's gonna win because it's a lot of make or break fights right now.
100%. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. It's basically iron on top of iron. Overall, that's going to be a firecracker event. We're just hoping, you know, what's at stake for Rob Font is he's probably never going to fight for the title if he loses. What's at stake for Adrian Yanez, not much, just because he is young in his career.
Yeah, he got some time still.
A win does catapult him to where he's just fighting top 5 guys, and just in the conversation. So, good luck to him on that one. That's going to be to both of them. So we'll see what's on that one. Going on to the next one, Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. This one's going to be a really good fight. You know, Santiago Ponzinibbio really liked him. He had a long winning streak. Before his accidents and his injuries and his surgeries, he was looking just like dynamite. You know, he could have won the belt. There's so many things with this guy.
Very promising.
I do think Kevin Holland is going to knock him out. Well, from what I've been seeing from Santiago Ponzinibbio in the ring, he's been a little slow. He's getting tired really fast. And it's tough when you're fighting somebody like Kevin Holland, who's lightning quick, just has the pop to knock somebody out. For him to, and you want to stand and bang with somebody, it's not going to be the right, you know, I don't think it's going to be the right decision to do that with somebody like Kevin Holland. But we'll see here on that. What's at stake for Kevin Holland? Man, tough because, you know, he kind of retired there, but, you know, that really was, you know, just kind of just for promo.
Promo for looking for some attention right there.
But at the same time, you know, he has kind of this popularity that leads him to, whether he wins or loses, that he can kind of stay around at the top. You know, obviously you've seen him switch weight divisions. So even with the losses, you know, it just basically cementing that he's just not going to fight for the title, not anytime soon. But with the win, you know, once again, he gets somewhat back in the conversation to where let me fight somebody in the top 10 or top 5. And then, if he wins that, then maybe a title fight. So, and Ponzinibbio, he's at the age and at the, you know, somewhat of end of his career where if he does take a loss, that it's, you know, that's probably going to be one of his either his last fights or for sure he's going to be done with the title run.
No, yeah, for sure. You know, this was tough. As much as I do love Kevin Holland, I actually got the opposite. I don't know. I think Ponzinibbio is going to put that grit, that grime on him, and I think he's going to outpower him and just really get in there.
Wow.
Kevin Holland, I really see it. I've liked actually the last few fights that he's had. He's shown me a lot, and I think he's actually going to pull this one off. To be honest.
Yeah. Oh, did you flip a coin?
I literally picked a paper out of a hat for that one.
That was funny.
And honestly, I said Kevin Holland at first, and I put it back down and grabbed the other one.
That's funny, bro. Oh man. All right, and the last one we're gonna bring up in the main event is Raul Rosas Jr. 7-0 versus Christian Rodriguez 8-1. Both just upcoming prospects that look really good. Christian just submitted Josh Weems last October. Raul submitted Jay Perrin in the first round of his debut in December. But he has a really big hype train against him, Raul Rosas Jr. We just seen him in Las Vegas at the UFC 285 we were just at. I mean, he was coming out there, and people, you would think nobody kind of knew who he was, but right when he walks out, people are screaming, trying to get his autograph. So I mean, this guy is already somewhat of a mainstay, somewhat of already a celebrity. So this guy has a hype train. This guy's serious. This guy has legitimate skills. And what's at stake here is nothing. This guy is playing with house money at this point. He's so young that he can take bumps and bruises. So and on the other hand, Christian Rodriguez 8-1 is kind of the same token. What's at stake? In a way, it's nothing, but there's a lot at stake if he does win. So because now you're being a hype train, now you can possibly take his fans. Now you can catapult yourself into a better situation where you're fighting somebody in the top 15. Both of them.
So start getting them ranks.
Exactly. What are you thinking of that matchup?
I think it's a great matchup. I think they're both coming from the Dana White Contender Series. It's going to be great. I got Raul Rosas on that one because more than even being the hype train, he really has some serious wrestling skills and submission skills. So, I'm going with Rosas on that one. But shout out to Christian Rodriguez, too. If he could pull this one off, it would be a nice one for him.
100%. And we're going to roll into PFL season launch. They're going to be fighting at the Virgin Hotel in Vegas Saturday, April 1st. Top of the docket's main event, Brandon Loughnane versus Marlon Moraes. Both were in the UFC, of course. The Brits versus Brazilian. This one for sure is going to be a barn burner. This one is for sure is going to be, I think, a striking battle. The only question I have is, is Marlon Moraes' chin going to hold up? You know what I'm saying? Because, in his last few fights, it's been dissipating quick, certain hits that wouldn't even, do anything to him. And it's, early in his career is just taking him out now.
He's getting older for sure.
Yeah. I just kind of want to see what he has left. Brandon Loughnane on a 4-fight win streak, of course. So this PFL season launch, we're going to see, obviously firecrackers from this main event. What do you think about that matchup?
It's gonna be a tough matchup. Moraes is getting older, but he's still got his skills. They're kicking it off from PFL. Let's see how this one goes. I really don't know who's gonna win that one. I don't have one. We're gonna toss that one up in the air. Hey.
Okay, so I'm going with Brendan, and he's going with Moraes since he's like all right. And we're gonna roll right into the co-main event, which is Robert Wilkinson, the exciting fighter, versus Thiago Santos, of course, the UFC mainstay. They're both in the UFC for a while. Of course, Thiago was there for most of his career. Robert Wilkinson, man, his last loss was to Israel Adesanya. So this guy is on a 6-fight win streak. This guy is looking incredible. He's an amazing fighter. Every time he comes out, he's just looking he's just so fun to watch. He's just a Justin Gaethje type of fighter where he's just so fun to watch. Always going to be an exciting fight. Who you think wins that fight versus Thiago Santos?
Man, Thiago Santos. This is his debut for the PFL, I believe. I'm gonna go with Thiago on this one. It's gonna be a tough fight though, because I did see Robert's last fight. It was amazing. He's a great fighter. But man, I'm gonna just go with Thiago on this one.
Yeah. The Australian versus the Brazilian. So I mean, we'll see. I think Robert I think Wilkinson actually pulls it off. I think I'm leaning towards Robert on that one. Santos.
It's gonna be a close one for sure.
Yeah, Thiago Santos lost 5 of his last 6 fights. That's what you got to keep in mind too. A lot of times, so it's just we'll see what he has left in the gas tank. Hopefully it's a lot. Rolling into the next one is Christos Jocko versus Will Fleury. Jocko was in the UFC for like 10 years. This guy is, is a UFC vet, just got out the UFC like 3 or 4 months ago. And Will's on a 4-fight win streak fighting out of Ireland. It's going to be an interesting fight for sure. Because, obviously they're both, basically both vets, but Jocko just has so much more experience that I'm actually going to lean towards Jocko on this one. What do you think about that matchup? Jocko versus Will Fleury. Who would you lean towards?
Yeah, I also picked the name out the hat for that one, and I'm going with Jocko on that one.
I like it. Yeah, I think his experience. I think his experience is gonna lead him to victory in this one, even though he did go out with a loss. He's an amazing fighter, has an amazing career. And the last one we're gonna talk about for PFL. Which I'm excited about. A lot of people don't know his name, and it's probably because it's hard to say his name. But Mavlid K. Bulayev versus Ryoji Kudo. Mavlid, he actually won the 2021 PFL tournament, and he took out Brendan Loughnane in the semifinals on his way to win the 2021 PFL tournament. He's undefeated at 19-0-1, but his only question mark he's had almost a 2-year layoff. And, so, a lot of action, a lot of movement's been happening since then. Brandon Loughnane, he's on a 4-fight win streak since then.
Right.
So it's kind of, it's kind of hard to say once again what's going to happen here. But as we've been seeing in certain fights and certain fighters, that octagon rust really it doesn't mean much. Look at John. Look at a lot of these guys, even as of recent, that it just did not mean much, and if it did, it only meant something in the first minute or two, and then they got their feet under them. And Mavlid, this guy is a monster, So I think they set him up with Ryoji Kudo, and Kudo's lost his last 2 out of 3 fights, 2 out of the last 3 fights. So to me, they're setting him up to Mavlid to him to take out Kudo and just once again get in this tournament and
boost them up a bit like that.
Just wreak havoc. You don't want him start at with somebody like Brandon Loughnane again and him take him out. So they want him wreak havoc at the bottom and just work his way. And he's looking like he might win it again. If he has the same skills and if he even got better, we'll see what that happens. On that matchup. But I know I'm excited for that one. I know you're excited for that one too. So
yeah, they got a nice lit card right there starting for the main event for sure.
Exactly. And there's so many more fights. So check them out for the PFL season launch, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be exciting. And of course, we're going to be watching there. And we're just going to roll right into our last segment. Too much sauce, baby. Our last final segment, too much sauce. It could be the greatest knockout, the greatest submission, or best feel-good moment of the week. Big Nando, what's your too much sauce?
Too much sauce for this week. I am going with the 41-year-old former champion, Holly Holm. Wow. If you guys watched that fight, you could literally see how dominant of a performance she was. From the second to the third round, it seemed like she could stop her at any time. She almost had crucifixes. I seen a 10-8 round in the second round. It was incredibly it was amazing. It was a beautiful performance. She's showing that she's ready to go on that serious title run that she's going for, and become one of those women, the oldest women champs in the UFC. We got a couple guys that it's like a Glover Teixeira type. You know what I'm saying? Randy Couture. It seems like Holly Holm is ready to go up there and do that. It was complete domination, and that's who I got this week for too much sauce. And hold on, special side note, shout out to Benavidez as well for winning against Caleb Plant. That was an amazing boxing fight. That was also very saucy. What you got this week, brother?
And put the mask back up because Holly Holm got robbed her last fight versus Caleb Mera. She won the fight. She got robbed. So anyway, she should be on a fight winning streak. Anyways, but regardless, I think she's gonna get a high title fight run. I think she's gonna, be able to. I think she's gonna get to the title. I'm not saying she's gonna win it, but I think she's gonna get to the title fight, and we'll see what happens there. But my too much sauce for this week is CJ Vergara, fight of the night, comeback win, second round, ground and pound, TKO. What an amazing fight. I mean, he was literally sprinting away in the first round, and he was making laps in the octagon. And, he was
I'll
losing
fix
the
that while
fight.
he's running laps on him.
Yeah, he was losing the fight. Seemed like he was a step behind the entire time. But, once again, he just pulled it out of the fire, coming out of the Contender Series, I believe, as well. And this guy, just what an amazing win. Ground and pound TKO. That's my CJ Vergara. That's from the UFC San Antonio this weekend. That's my, and his was from the UFC San Antonio as well. That's our too much sauce for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Of course, we got this is episode 8. Episode 9 will be next week. Like, comment, subscribe, keep following us, drink water, stretch. And our last, before we leave, we have to say congrats to Cowboy for now being inducted to Hall of Fame, which is in July. And he joins Jens Pulver, Jose Aldo, and Anderson Silva. So the MMA bros will for sure be there in full effect, July, Vegas. So you already know, comment, like, subscribe, MMA Bros Podcast on every social media. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your brother, tell your sister, cousin, and coworker, friend, all that. MMA Bros Podcast.
And you know what? I'll even give y'all permission to tell your side chicks about it, all right?
MMA Bros Podcast, signing off.
Holla.
Yeah, see. Let's go. What's your name, baby? What's your sign? Well, I just seen her from afar. I'm like, what's your name? Baby, what's your sign? What's on your mind? You's a pretty young thing, and I love your vibes. I've been trying to make you mine. I'm like, what's your name? Baby, what's your sign? What's on your mind?